Barrick Gold is up about 10% since filing its all-important second quarter. Industry watchers have been waiting to see how well the big gold producers would perform, with metal hitting several record highs this year. CEO of Barrick, of course, is Mark Bristow. Mark, welcome back to Kitco.
Hello, Michael. Thank you very much for having me.
Mark, why did investors like your Q2?
You know, Michael, it's a hard question to answer. I think I've got a number of theses, but the first one, I guess, is that we're a lot less valued as far as multiples to our underlying value than our peer group. So that's a possibility. But I think more importantly for me personally, it was the fact that we were able to deliver the full margin quarter on quarter from the increase in the gold price and the copper price, to your point. And that all landed on the bottom line. And so, you know, that helped us beat the consensus on all the financial numbers, which is, you know, I think that's a good thing to do in a time like this.
Are we past the cost pressures, Mark?
No, I don't believe so, but we're getting there. You know, the Barrick is very exposed to the US dollar, and so we've had to work on that. And as you know, we've been fixing assets, building them for the long term. And I think that's the other aspect for me personally. As I don't know if you followed the presentation, but we talked about the quality of our assets, the fact that they're long life assets, and that we have, and for the first time, we really can see that value. And I think that resonated with the market. You know, I've never been a person who sort of plans for the short term, and it's taken some time. I get that, but you know, when you look at PV, it's 20-year life gold mine. You know that doesn't come too often. Nevada is a very big operation. It's we've had to deal with the COVID impacts and employment and that sort of thing, but it's also a long life and a large asset. And on top of that, we've got 3 other tier 1 assets, and then the copper growth story in Barrick is also exciting, and equally long-term assets, 30, 40, 50 years. And I think that's what I set out to do back in 2019.
Now we're filming this on August 15th, Mark. Physical gold is up about 18% this year. Barrick is about 10% this year. The miners should be outpacing gold. What's going on?
So that's a very interesting question. And let me try and explain from my perspective what's driving this. Is that, you know, the gold price has been on the charge for the last 18 months. And it's been interesting that what's driven it is physical buying of the physical metal. And in fact, we've even seen that the ETFs have been sold off. The asset under management, so the value of those ETFs haven't gone down, but the physical metal in the ETFs have reduced over the last while until about 60 days ago. And so has the equities, you know, so, and my thesis is that, you know, the world is at risk. Gold is an on-risk metal. And we've also seen the de-dollarization of central banks, particularly emerging central banks. And some of the biggest holders of US treasuries have shifted the balance in their reserves towards gold, selling dollars and buying gold. And so that's been the focus. But just recently, we've seen a shift where there's been an inflow into the ETFs, the gold ETFs, and we've certainly seen a movement on the equities. And I think that's there's a shift here where the investors want to get more out of their gold exposure, and you know that when you buy physical gold, that's what you get, and you just look through to the gold price. But certainly on the equity side, when you start investing, you do get the gearing, and so I'm positive about the fact that gold is definitely the favorite at the moment in the community, the investment community, and I think that it's got quite a lot of upside ahead of it.
Now, Mark, you've been quite strong in other interviews, saying that there will be no value-destructive transactions at Barrick. However, Agnico Eagle is up 65% in the last year. Newmont is up about 27%. Both have completed major deals in the past year or so. Is the market in the mood for some M&A?
Well, the market has certainly shifted, and there's a lot of short-term investors in the market right now, and that's normal. I think if you look at Barrick's performance going back to when we announced the series of mergers back in the late 2018 at the Denver Gold Show, Barrick's performance from that point is still more than Newmont, slightly below Agnico Eagles. And we are dealing with, to your point, some big, audacious M&A transactions on the back of a rising gold price, and what we haven't done that. We did our deals back in 2019, and so we've very much more exposed to the market on our business plans. And so I don't think that's that's not necessarily a good or bad thing. The big deals that have just been announced both last year and this year and recently consummated, they've got to. I mean, I don't have to tell you this. It takes time to let them flow out. What you're seeing from Barrick now is the delivery against that very clear business planning and strategy that we shared with the market back in 2019.
In your investor presentation, the top of the deck says you are building a tier one copper business. Why do you like copper so much, Mark, and how does that fit within Barrick?
So, Michael, all the assets that I talked about on Monday were embedded in this organization, the combined organization that came out of the merger of Barrick with Randgold, and of course the forced joint venture in Nevada and the taking private of Acacia. And none of those transactions were at a premium, but they were all embedded in the organization. And back then we pointed out that copper is, if you look at all the metals, and everyone has struggled to sort of define what a strategic metal is, because some have been valuable and strategic, some have become less valuable, but still called strategic. But there's one thing that I'm absolutely clear about, and that is that copper is as strategic as gold is precious. And if you want a cleaner world, no matter which way you look at it, whether it's batteries or energy infrastructure, there's no replacement for copper. And so copper for me is, and it comes with gold. And as you grow as a gold miner, you have to embrace copper, because to really keep your critical mass, you got to go to the porphyry gold deposits, and with those porphyries come copper as well. So it made sense to me. And on top of it, Barrick had the big exposure in Pakistan through the Reko Diq, and we fixed that arbitration and brought it back to the market. And Lumwana, which, as you know, was a challenging transaction that sort of plagued Barrick for a while, we took our geologists in there and rebuilt its prospectivity, and it's now going to be a world-class copper mine with more than 30 years life. So, and that fits neatly with the tier one. We are the dominant tier one gold miners in the world today. We own more than the our competitors within the top 15 gold mines in the world. And so, you match that quality copper with the gold portfolio, and it's a standout business. And probably one of the best examples of this is Freeport, where it produces a lot of gold. It's got mega copper mines, and it's a simple, understandable business, and it's really done well over the last sort of 8 years or so.
Mark, in past interviews, you've pointed out that labor's been a challenge. Are we seeing people attracted to mining, Mark?
Well, I think absolutely, and but what we've done about it, it's not about attracting; it's about investing in people. And again, if mining is going to be a future-facing modern industry, and fulfill its obligations in making the world a better place, we better be employing and attracting younger people, and that's certainly what I've done in Barrick, and it's exciting to see, particularly in the United States, which was an aging workforce, is to be able to attract, and we've had big turnover, and to be able to replace that with younger people, and as you know, we're a heavy industrial industry. And so having young engineers, modern thinking engineers in our organization takes us to a new and exciting place.
Mark Bristow, thanks for your time.
Michael, always a pleasure. Thank you.
My name is Michael McRae. You're watching Kitco Mining.